I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going back my mom. I'm not going. So tell your dad's mama dig her ass up and post a picture.
50 Cent dropped a photo of Tiny Harris and immediately lit up the internet. But what he said next about King Harris and questioning his parentage shocked everyone in the game. And when you hear what's been going on inside that marriage for years, you'll understand why this beef is far deeper than any Versus battle. The feud, the history, and the explosive moment 50 unleashed, it's all connected. To understand how it escalated, we need to rewind, because this story didn't start in February 2026. It's been simmering for nearly 2 decades, and the reason it finally erupted is Curtis James Jackson III, better known as 50 Cent, decided to play no games. The tension between him and T.I. traces back to the mid-2000s, when both men dominated the rap world. 50 Cent was running G-Unit like a corporation, selling millions of records, controlling his lane with precision few had ever matched. T.I., Clifford Joseph Harris Jr. from Atlanta, Georgia, was asserting his claim as the King of the South, and his music made that claim hard to dispute. 2 giants in close quarters. Friction was inevitable. Early on, the rivalry was subtle. Quiet jabs in interviews, competitive energy that never exploded into all-out war. But by 2007 to 2008, things intensified when 50 Cent started highlighting T.I.'s legal troubles and asking questions in public that could haunt any rapper for life, hinting at whether the King of the South had cooperated with authorities. Here's what actually unfolded. In October 2007, T.I. was arrested in Atlanta during an ATF sting operation. He attempted to purchase 3 machine guns and 2 silencers through a bodyguard secretly working with the feds. These were major federal charges, each carrying up to 10 years in prison and fines of $250,000. So when T.I. received a sentence in March 2009 of just 1 year and 1 day, industry insiders noticed the math didn't add up. 50 Cent was not about to let that slide. On G-Unit's 2008 album "TUS" Terminate on Sight, he dropped a track called You So Tough with a line the entire industry heard. "I got the best lawyers money can buy. They said it would have got me 10 or maybe 9. I said, well, how do you explain how homie breathes so? Keep your mouth shut or you eat the cheese. You so tough." When asked in interviews whether it was about T.I., 50 Cent initially played it cool.
You use real-life situations to create something that's entertaining without being specific. That's entertainment to me. Like if I had an issue, when have you known me to be indirect with an issue?
Oh, you're pretty direct.
Right, so if I had a problem with any artist, trust me, they would know.
But then, in a move that left no room for doubt, he pretty much confirmed it just seconds later.
Is that line about T.I.?
Absolutely, for the public to decide.
T.I. has always maintained he never informed on anyone. He said his actions were personal, aimed at getting justice for his best friend Philin Johnson, who was shot and killed in Cincinnati in 2006. As part of his court deal, T.I. completed over 1,000 hours of community service, traveled to 25 states, and spoke to thousands of young people. Yet in hip-hop, accusations of snitching spread 10 times faster than any explanation. The feud quieted for a while, resurfacing briefly in 2020 when T.I. commented on the killing of King Von in Atlanta. Comments 50 Cent perceived as disrespectful to a grieving community. Even then, the situation did not fully erupt. That would not happen until 2026, when a conversation about Vers turned intensely personal. In early February, T.I. appeared on Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson, recounting his time in Los Angeles with 50 Cent working on TV projects. During that period, they discussed doing a Versus battle to celebrate their music, allegedly agreeing on it. But when T.I. went public, 50 acted like he had no knowledge of the discussion, setting the stage for a very public confrontation.
I said I wanted 50, that's what I said. He don't want no smoke though. Oh, Lord. I called my man out, he don't want no smoke, he ducking smoke, it's cool.
And on another occasion, T.I. broke it down even further, explaining exactly how the misunderstanding escalated and why the lines between business.
We were moving around in LA, man, selling some TV shows while we were around each other, man, you know what I mean? I said, what you think about that? Like, you want to do that? I said, yeah. It was like, all right, cool, so shit. And I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up. What's going on? Then that's what it was about. And now I question your character.
Now, most people would expect 50 to respond with a diss track or at least come back with some bars. Instead, 50 Cent went music. A completely different route, one that a lot of people felt crossed the line. He jumped on Instagram and posted a photo of T.I.'s wife, Tamika Tiny Harris, with a caption that basically told T to keep his name Music out of his mouth. Not a shot at T the rapper. Not a shot at his catalog or his legacy. A shot at his wife. That is the moment everything changed. Because right there, 50 Cent did not just throw gas on a rap beef. He brought a woman into the middle of a fight she had nothing to do with. A woman who had already been through more than most people know about. And that woman happened to have a 21-year-old son named King who was watching every single move being made on that app. This was not about music anymore. This was about family now. And as you're going to find out in the next part, when you go after this particular family, you are pulling on a thread that has a whole lot of heavy stuff tied to the other end of it, Tiny Harris. The marriage, the rumors, and the secrets. To really understand why 50 Cent going after Tiny hit so hard and why King Harris reacted the way he did, you have to know who Tamika Tiny Harris actually is. And music. You need to understand what that marriage has quietly been carrying behind the scenes for a very long time. A lot of people think of Tiny as just T.I.'s wife, but that is honestly doing her a disservice. She was well known in music before T was even on the radar. She was born Tamika Diane Cottle on July 14, 1975, in College Park, Georgia, and music. She came up as a member of the R&B group Xscape in the early 1990s, a group that was shaping the sound of that whole era. On top of performing, she was writing songs that other artists were building careers on. She co-wrote No Scrubs for TLC and worked on records for Destiny's Child. Music. Building a body of work that most people in the music business would be proud to call their whole career. Before T. Music. Tiny's personal life was pretty low-key. She was in a relationship with a man named Zonnie Zebo Pullins for about 6 years starting in 1992, and they had a daughter together named Zonique, who was born in 1996 and who would later become a singer herself with the music group OMG Girls. There is also the story Tiny told on their reality show about a short close connection with Tupac Shakur back in 1994, which she said almost turned romantic but never actually did, and Tupac passed away in 1996 not long after. Outside of those two, there is nothing in her history that points to any real scandal. She met T in 2001 through the music industry since Xscape Music had ties to his label Grand Hustle Records. First, Tiny was not interested at all. She reportedly turned T down and stood him up more than once before she finally gave him a real shot. By the mid-2000s, they were fully committed to each other, and they got married in a quiet courthouse ceremony in Miami Beach on July 30, 2010, before music. Celebrating later in Atlanta and Las Vegas. Together they had 3 children, King born in 2004, Major in 2008, and Harris in 2016. And they also went through the pain of a stillbirth in 2007. When you add T.I.'s kids from before and Tiny's daughter Zonique, they were raising a blended family of 7 children together. That marriage faced real music tests from the very beginning. Just a few months after the wedding, T got arrested again on drug charges, music. While he was still on probation and had to go back to serve more time, Tiny stayed right there beside him through all of it. They even turned their lives into a VH1 reality show called T.I. and Tiny. The Family Hustle, which ran from 2011 to 2017 and let the whole country see their world, both the good times and the hard ones. But behind the scenes, things were cracking. In 2014, T got into a physical fight with boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. at a restaurant in Las Vegas after rumors spread that Mayweather had been getting too friendly with Tiny. The whole thing was caught on video. Both Tiny and Mayweather denied that anything happened between them. Mayweather said he had known Tiny for years before she was even with T. And Tiny spoke about it herself, music. In a 2018 interview on Candy Coated Nights, and said she did not physically cheat on T, but she admitted that Mayweather was flirting with her and that she had been in a place in her marriage where she was not getting the attention she music needed. In her own words, "I didn't really cheat. I didn't have any. He flirted with me. Everybody needs a little attention, especially if she ain't getting music. That right there tells you a lot about where the marriage was at during that period.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama. Your mama. Go dig her up. Go dig her up. Post a picture of your mama. She pay respect. Stop playing with my mama.
The biggest crisis came in December 2016. On December 7th of that year, Tiny filed for divorce in Henry County, Georgia, citing irreconcilable differences and asking for primary custody of their kids. Court papers confirmed it was real. She filed again in April 2017 after the first hearing fell apart because T had not been properly served with the paperwork. And when Tiny spoke about it later, she was very clear about what pushed her to that music point. In a 2019 appearance, she described the decision as being about her own self-respect, saying she had been dealing with years of cheating, lying, and disrespect. By the summer of 2017, they pulled back from the edge and decided to stay together. T talked about how Tiny was his best friend and said he could not just throw that away. The last season of their show actually documented how close they came to the end and what it took to get back on solid ground. And they did music, Get Back. In 2025, they celebrated 15 years of marriage with a trip to Thailand, sharing video from a yacht and writing captions for each other that made it clear these were two people who had genuinely fought to stay together music and come out the other side. T called her the love of his life, and she talked about how much he had grown in the way he loves her over 24 years. Then in early 2026, they showed up to the Grammy Awards together, dressed well and looking completely solid as a couple. And then 50 Cent posted that photo. Now, the rumors music that started flying after that, including the suggestion from 50 that King Harris might not even be T.I.'s biological son, none of that comes from any verified facts or real documentation. What the research shows clearly is that King was born in 2004, 3 years into T and Tiny's relationship, and both of his parents have always raised him and claimed him as their son. The paternity suggestion is just 50 Cent doing music. What 50 Cent has always done, finding the most painful possible thing to throw at someone music, and tossing it out there to watch the reaction. Because on top of all the marriage drama, this family was also dealing with something far heavier than a rap beef. Starting in January 2021, more than a dozen women came forward with serious allegations against T and Tiny together, claiming they had been drugged, sexually assaulted, held against their will, and trafficked across a period stretching from 2005 to 2018. The couple denied every single allegation and called the whole thing a coordinated attempt to get money from them. Their lawyer, Steve Sato, called it a sordid shakedown campaign and said none of it had merit. Their VH1 show was shut down while the network looked into the claims. The LAPD opened a full investigation in May 2021, but by September of that year, the Los Angeles County District Attorney said they would not be filing any charges because the time limit on the oldest cases had already passed. Nothing came out of Georgia either. In January 2024, one of the accusers, an Air Force music veteran going by Jane Doe, filed a civil lawsuit using a California law that lets people bring cases even after the normal deadline if they can show there was a cover-up. T and Tiny fought to have it thrown out. And in August 2024, a federal judge dismissed music. The case, though the plaintiff was given a chance to refile with more details. No charges, no convictions. But the shadow from all of that never fully went away. So when Music 50 Cent decided to post Tiny's photo and make her the target of a joke, he was not just clowning a rapper he had beef with over a Verzuz deal near divorces, cheating allegations, and a federal investigation. He was doing it in front of millions of people like it was nothing. That is what set off everything that came next. And that is exactly why King Harris did not just respond calmly. He came out swinging with everything he had. King Harris goes to war, the internet splits, music, and 50 Cent deletes everything. The second King Harris saw that photo of his mother sitting on 50 Cent's Instagram page, something music clicked in him that was not going back to a quiet place. He is 21 years old music. And he has been in the public eye his whole life. Growing up as the son of two famous people with cameras always nearby. He has watched his mother get talked about, speculated about, and music dragged through gossip sites since he was old enough to scroll through a phone. And now the same man his father had been going back and forth with for weeks had music. Just put her photo up on the internet to use as a punchline in a rap argument. What happened next was not some planned PR move. It was not a carefully written diss track with a label behind it. King Harris went straight music to Instagram stories and let everything out in a raw, unfiltered way that the whole internet watched happen in real time. And he went to a place that most people in hip-hop understand as a line you simply do not cross. He brought up 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Music Jackson, who was murdered back in 1983 when 50 was only 8 years old. King said that if 50 wanted to go music around posting pictures of people's mothers, he was ready to post hers. He even shared what looked like a photo of her gravesite.